Alright, today we're going to take a look at a couple of challenge runs that were submitted in the Discord. And these came from the Toy Boat Wacky Weekly, which was a few weeks ago now. I'll show the modifier for the Toy Boat in a second. So here it is on screen. Toy Boat. Pets from any pack can be rolled, but only from the current tier. So what that meant was every tier you are only offered pets of that specific tier. So right now, of course, that's the normal way things work on turn 1 and 2. But once we get to turn 3, we will no longer be able to roll tier 1s. And so you can see there in the shop, we only have tier 2s. And if we roll again, it's just going to be more tier 2s. I say we, of course, it's not me playing. This is diceblessed, although I'm just going to say dice from now on. And this is a turn 1, tier 2, Honduran white bat. And I think if I spotted that correctly, in the previous turn, dice rolled 2 more white bats. So it was incredibly unlikely to get these types of triples. You know, like having a triple tier 2 on turn 4 just wasn't going to happen very often. And unsurprisingly, going to save the level up for next turn. Or maybe beyond, I can't remember exactly what happens. Actually faces E here. I think it's E anyway. The writing is very small on my screen, so it's hard to tell for sure. But yeah, I think that is E, channel member. Yeah, so level up taken on turn 5 gets the BFB. And I think the level 2 white bat is going to generate enough trumpets here to actually get the permanent melon slice from the BFB. I guess we'll find out now. Yeah, it is. It's 4 trumpets. It is quite expensive compared to a lot of the other trumpet spending units. But that permanent equipment should be pretty nice. Especially on a unit that only has 3 attack. You know, giving it the 10 damage reduction probably lets it attack twice, at least this early in the game. The other weird thing about this weekly was that, you know, you just really had to roll with the punches. It wasn't really possible to plan for anything other than the tier 6 units, because once you get to tier 6, every single pet you roll is going to be a tier 6. And generally speaking, a lot of them are very good. There were some restrictions as well, so you couldn't roll wide scaling units or powerful scalers like Cat. Actually strange round here where Dice plays the brain cramp at the front, but I guess that's simply because the bonobo is going to allow, is going to enable a copy. Yeah, there we go. So level 2 brain cramp. Now the team can be rearranged a bit. Buying macaque makes a lot of sense. You know, you're playing the highest tempo options available, I think, at this point. Since you're very unlikely to have anything that you want to keep long term. Obviously, in this case, the Honduran white bat is going to get kept because it's a turn 1 tier 2. Double cow plus stingray as well, although Dice passes up the stingray. Fair enough. I think stingray is probably one of the most taken units in customs and most overplayed as well. I mean, it is incredibly strong, but yeah, I think that plus 6/6 scaling is just a bit on the extreme side. Now offered Stingray a second time, takes it and goes for the sock instead. If you just spot here, turn 10, 1 heart. So it's going to have to be a pretty big comeback from here to actually get a victory in this pack. But you are kind of helped out by the fact that other people are obviously going to be struggling. And having level 2 macaque here is also incredibly good. Most teams are not going to have that. Yeah, so you can see this opposing team here. They actually have level 2 Dimetrodon, which is pretty solid. But macaque with lemon in a pack where opposing teams are struggling to put a squad together is going to be very tough to deal with. Leviathan frozen? I guess Leviathan makes sense with macaque, but I don't think Leviathan is going to be kept here. And the melon slice from BFB is replaced. Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, this opposing team is more like what you'd expect to see in this weekly. Since, it's difficult to find level ups, most people were going for some kind of a summon team. It wasn't the only option, there were plenty of things you could do, but, a lot of the summon pets have good value even at level 1. Now you can see there is a Lioness in the shop there, so it was possible to scale the tier 6 shop using Lioness, but not too many people were doing it, thankfully, so it meant that the environment was a bit more receptive to this type of team. Although I think DICE has managed a decent amount of scaling here, taking pancakes is always a good option as well. And this Doberman team, looks like they're going to end up falling foul to the emu here, pushing the Rockhopper forward so that it doesn't actually get to activate its ability. I'm sure that was a mistake on their part. Honduran Whitebat is going to get upgraded to have peanut butter from the Mongoose toy. And actually, I guess the toy boat didn't mention it, but the food shop also behaved the same way as the pet shop. So you're always guaranteed to get tier 6 foods once you reach turn 11. That's why it seems like it's incredibly lucky to be constantly rolling pancakes and pizza, hot dog, all the rest of it. That's because those are the only things that could be rolled once you reach this stage of the game. So 9 wins, turn 15. This is looking like a pretty solid team, even though Honduran Whitebat has been kept for this length of time. The Peanut is going to get blocked by White Ochre on the Boar. Actually, this team has level 2 Reindeer, which is pretty good going in this pack. And then level 1 Fairy Armadillo that has managed to scale itself up pretty heavily. But I think the Lemon on the Macaque did a lot of good stuff. And there we go, Diceblessed gets the turn 1 tier 2 Honduran Whitebat victory in the Toy Boat Weekly. So now we move on to another challenge, and this is one that I was trying at the same time, but I think in the static packs, or maybe it was the week beforehand. So I was taking a break from it, and this is Carve going for a no-roll challenge in the Toy Boat Weekly. Now actually, this weekly made a lot of sense for going for no-roll because every time the shop upgrades the tier, you're going to immediately be given access to higher tier units without having to roll for them. So I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I didn't really spend any time going for this at the time. But it was also because I had recorded so much footage that, as you can see now, we're working our way through it and it's weeks later. And I still have plenty more recorded because who knows when the next time this Wacky toy will be available. Now, as I say that, the test server is live, the public test server, if you want to try out some of the new stuff that's available. And one of the things that's going to be added is the ability to take these Wacky toys in private lobbies. So that's incredibly useful for people like Kino who do themed lobbies. There's actually a toy that's going to prevent cheating in certain lobbies, which is incredibly helpful. I'll put a link to the public test server in the description if you want to try it, although I believe it doesn't really work on mobile. But you can also just go to the official Discord and read the patch notes there or the potential changelog because everything is subject to change on the test server. But I'm pretty confident that this Wacky feature will get added, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think some of the toys are new as well, so although we've had a bunch of Wacky toys in the past, there will definitely be plenty of fresh material, and not just rehashing the Mirror Weekly or the Tiny House. I forget what the other one was called. I actually wouldn't mind being able to take some of the Wacky toys just in regular arena, make it a bit harder for yourself by having pets removed or transformed or whatever it was. I guess stuff like the toy boat where it could potentially be beneficial, you shouldn't have access to those, but I don't see why you couldn't have the forfeit type toys. So carrying on with Carve's run here, taking the pug I think makes a lot of sense, being able to have that experience available to give to another unit means that you don't have to find an actual triple. You just need 2 of the same pet. And Carve cycles the cockatoo here and then takes the purple doggo guy for the toy. Now, there were quite a few people playing Spider Crab here, which is one of the rarest pets in Customs, even though it's a Customs exclusive. And I guess the fact that this weekly enabled you to roll anything meant that plenty of people were going to be going for these types of pets that they might not otherwise see very often. So here, Carve does get a duplicate in the form of the Triceratops, so the pug can immediately level it up. Now, it should be said that you could actually get chocolate in other ways in this pack. You could have rolled Crow on tier 4, and then it was technically possible to get Blobfish and then feint it using Mantis or Deerlord. Although I guess with Deerlord you're not able to put the chocolate onto anything else. And actually Carve gets the chocolate here in the shop. It's incredibly lucky to have that happen in a no-roll run when there's so much stuff available. Actually, thinking about that, maybe the odds of getting it are better in this type of pack. Because if you can only roll tier 5 foods, then there are fewer of them overall than there would be unlocked at that point in the game. At least I think there are. Unfortunately here, Carve loses a heart to Super Auto Gaming. Although it looks like that's a fake account, that is definitely Sag's actual account. And then a bit of rearranging here with Mushroom on the Triceratops, and then Mammoth coming in, presumably mainly for the stats, since the Rockhopper is actually going to jump in front of it as well. Okay, the Mammoth gets sniped by the Rhino, which does enable the ability to go off. But yeah, this team is going to be way too strong. Of course, this is pre-patch, so it would be the old Flycatcher ability. Mammoth gets mushroomed as well. Okay, now Carve's going to change the order. And then take the pita bread on the 4 health unit. That's just the way it goes with no roll. You have to take what you can get. But I think the Mammoth here plus the Thrush is actually pretty solid. And the Triceratops is going to get a bunch of triggers here from these very weak summons. This team's actually got a level 1 horse on turn 12. Really, they should have found something better than that, given the way the shop works in this pack. That was an incredibly bad turn where Carve only managed to get the popcorn. And Snake is pretty rough, I think. Especially if it doesn't hit the Triceratops. It does activate the pita bread. Maybe actually Carve's going to be okay here. Yeah, I think the Eagle has gotten up to a good enough stat line that Carve gets the win with the no-roll run in the Toy Boat Weekly. Now, I do have some other challenge runs saved up from the Toy Boat Weekly, but I'll save them for a different video. We're going to quickly look at some more clips. So there's another one sent in by TEPALUS. I still don't know what the correct way to say that is. And I wasn't sure what this challenge was exactly to begin with. But the explanation I was given was that this is winning without any tier 6 pets, which I guess is actually kind of funny when you think about it. In a pack where you're offered guaranteed full shop of tier 6 pets on turn 11 onwards, finishing off a game with no tier 6 is pretty funny. I guess in some respects I would consider Monkey a bit of a tier 6 unit, but still, thanks for sending that clip in anyway. Now here's a couple of unfortunate runs. This one, I'm on turn 11, 1 heart, 3 gold left, and I roll a Sloth. And I elect not to take it because if I do take it, the game is over immediately. And we just need to hope that somehow we can stay alive here and then rebuild. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is I'm not going to get the opportunity to buy the Sloth because we immediately face TEPALUS again, TEPALUS. Let me know in the comments how you pronounce it. And has managed to get hold of a monkey again in this game, and I end up losing there. And it wasn't the only sloth I had in this weekly. Here's another one where I did a bit better. Got up to turn 18. And we've got the pseudo summon squad with the hawk and the pygmy hippo. And unfortunately we run into the buzzsaw of this extremely strong German Shepherd team with Spino and 1-up Orca. Now you'd think this would be a complete demolition for them, but actually the pygmy hippo not getting disrupted means we are going to get multiple triggers from it. The problem is that it doesn't have enough damage here, I don't think, to knock out enough units and also get through the white ochre that's on the German Shepherd. But I mean, it is turn 18, so we didn't really expect to have much of a chance here, since we would have needed to win 4 more rounds to get the victory. One other notable game from this pack, nothing particularly special about the lineup. You know, a lot of the lineups did end up looking like this, where they were complete random mixtures of units, but this one just so happens to be the level 3 tadpole ribbon. Might as well include it here so we can end on a high note.